Good afternoon, every participants. First of all, I take this opportunity to welcome you all for the webinar on types of attacks in cyber world, which is organized by C-DAC and also the Future Skill program. So let me start the session. So I've organized my presentation according to today's agenda in this webinar. So in this webinar, I'm going to discuss about what is a cyber security and what is the need for it. And if you are giving a cyber security solutions, what are the features that should possess? And what is a cyber attack? And what types of cyber attacks are available? And most frequent occurring in the digital world, and how to prevent it? And what is the motive behind the cyber attack? So if you're a vice person becoming a cyber attacker, what is the motive behind this transition? And also I'm going to talk about some of the top cyber attacks that are happened in the digital world in the recent days. So this is my agenda for today's webinar. So let me start with what is a cyber security. So it is a technique of protecting any system from hostile intrusion. So system includes computer, mobile, or it can be a network or an electronic device, IoT device, and also a data. So if you are not prepared for the cyber attack, suppose if your organization has not implemented the cyber security solution, definitely your organization will subject to a cyber attack. Such cyber attack event will exploit the system, and also it writes malware to actually write a malware code to actually manipulate your computer code, logic, and data that leads to a cyber crime such as identity information, etc. Okay, now what is the need for cybersecurity? So in a modern digital era, I think everyone using their mobile and computers with internet connectivity. So if you are not using the mobile and computer with internet connectivity, you are isolated. So no way you can connect with other people, other world, right? So this has created a great opportunity for the cyber attackers to exploit the system and also commit cyber crimes. So if you observe, the cyber attacks are taking place all around the world in every second. To give an insight of it, there is a website called Live Cyber Threat Map. So that shows what is the amount of cyber attacks that take place around the world in every second. Now I'll just share the browser where I open this web page. I think you can see here. So it gives something like Live Cyber Threat Map. So it gives a lot of statistics, you can see. So there is a intrusive traffic from United States to other countries. They are in the different colors also. So you have something in yellow color and red color. These are not nothing but what type of cyber attacks are happening. So red color means the malware attack. And if you have this color phishing, yellow color exploit. So it gives the statistics about what type of attacks are happening on the right time. So it can say every second is happening. And also it gives the statistics about which are the countries are vulnerable. Right? You can see that screen. So these are some statistics shows that these are the countries are more vulnerable to the attack. And what department or what type of industries are undergone an attack. So if we take any country, we'll have a different industries. So topmost is here, you can see the education is the first honeypot place where the attack is taking place. Then the government and healthcare. So that's a statistics it's showing. And what type of malwares are used in the cyber attack. So you have a phishing and adware and mobile attacks are taking place. So I'm showing this page to say that the cyber attacks are happening all around the world in every second. So that's a huge intrusion is happening from one continent to another continent. So that's the current scenario in the digital world. So that's what I've shared here. So now from this the web application, it is observed. It is being observed that individuals and as well as the business needs cyber security to actually want to keep their data safe and the intellectual property safe and also the financial. Also, we are really dependent on the computer systems, internet and wireless networks, such as Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and the Internet of Things are. So hence, I can say that the cybersecurity is considered to be a very important component in digital era. If you're missing this component, then you are compromised. So all your wealth will be taken by someone else. So it is very important that it's inevitable that the cybersecurity plays an important component in digital era. Okay, now the features of a cybersecurity. Okay, so you have developed some security solution to address some cyber attack. You can say that this cybersecurity solution will be considered to be comprehensive and complete only if satisfies the CAA tribe. So what is that tribe means? It's a group of three things. So here it is CAA means confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So any cybersecurity solution that you provide to any, all these trials as well are satisfied. So what is the confidentiality? Confidentiality is a service that ensures only the authorized person have an access to the sensitive data. So if an unauthorized person trying to access the data, they will get only the unintelligible data. So how it is realized is, so we are using the cryptographic algorithms like encryption algorithms and decryption algorithms to realize this service. There are some techniques are available for public key encryption and private key encryptions. And under the public key encryptions, we have algorithm like RSA and Eclipse based things. And in private key encryption, that is in a symmetric key encryption method, we have TESS, AES. So these are the algorithms we have to ensure the confidentiality service. So only the authorized persons who have the key, possess the key, can decrypt the message and understand the message. So through this confidentiality service, we ensure only the authorized person have an access to the sensitive data. The other component in the triad is like integrity. So integrity service ensures whatever data you access is complete and trustworthy. So what I mean by that is when a sender sends a data to a receiver, after receiving the data, the receiver should ensure that the data has not changed during the transfer. So whatever the data sent by the sender is received by the receiver. So there must be some mechanism to ensure this. So this concept we call it as an integrity service. I think this integrity service is achieved through again the algorithms like secure as algorithm, amplify this algorithm. So what we do is when before sending a message to the intended receiver, we apply a secure as algorithm over the content and we derive a hash code. And this hash code is appended to the original message and it will be sent to the receiver. When receiver receives the message, we recompute the hash code from the received message and it compares the received hash code with the newly computed hash code. Both values are same and it can ensure that the message what received is not altered during the transaction. So with the help of this hashing algorithms, we can able to ensure the integrity service. And last one is the availability. So availability service ensures that authorized parties should have access to the information in timely basis. At any time they should be able to access the information. So it should be available 24/7. So this service we call it as availability. So keep it in mind, any cybersecurity solution that you provide to counter the cyber attack must satisfy this CA triad. That only we can say this is complete solution. So this feature is expected in every cybersecurity solution. Now, I'm going to discuss about the partial list of cyber threats that are happening in the world. Because I am just keeping the partial threats, it's keep on new threats are coming, right? So what I'm going to cover is cyber threats that are most commonly occurring in the digital world. I'm just going to discuss that. Okay, what is a threat actually? So it's a normal harmful act that intend to steal the data or rob the data or disrupt the digital life. So such a thing we call it as a cyber threat. So here I'm just going to discuss these 13 types of cyber threats in this webinar. So first one is the malware, phishing, and password attack, and DDoS attack. Then we have a man-in-middle attack, zero-day attack, drive-by download. Then we have a malvertising, rogue software attack, and SQL injection, insider threat, a crypto jacking, and watering hole attack. So just I'm going to discuss the partial list of attacks. There are a big list of attacks are there, but I'm not going to cover all the attacks. These partial list of attacks are mostly occurring in the current digital world. So that's why I just keep focus on this type of attacks. Now, first I get into the first type of attack called malware. The malware is nothing but a malicious software designed by the attacker. That objective is to disrupt a computer, a server, and also get unauthorized access to the system. So there are different form of malwares are available. Just explore one by one. So first one is a virus. Virus is coming under the malware tag. So similar to a biological concept, virus also attached to the file and it corrupts it, and also it spread uncontrollably to all the files on all the system files, by which it will affect the core functionality of the systems. Also, it corrupts all the files. So virus is one of the malware which gives more damage to the system, which makes more damage to the system. The other type of malware is a Trojan. Trojan is another type of malware. So these malwares, this type of malware, show themselves as a legitimate software or part of the legitimate software. So the victim thought that this is a legitimate software and it installs the software into a machine. But once you install the Trojan, it creates a backdoor with the system. So backdoor means it makes the system vulnerable so that other type of malware can get into the systems. So that's the impact the Trojan makes into a system. It creates a backdoor through which other form of malwares can enter into a system, and the attacker can steal information or make passive systems. So this is what a Trojan is. Then other type of malware is worms. So worms are actually attached to the network interface. So once it is attached to a network interface, it replicates themselves multiple times, and it will affect all the computers in the network. So it completely collapses the entire network. So that's the capability of a worm. Another terminology we have called botnet. So botnet is nothing but it's a network of infected computers that are controlled by the attackers. That's called a botnet. So botnet is used as a launching pad for creating and performing a DDoS attack, that is denial of service attacks. So generally the botnets are used to perform a DDoS attack. So other malware is a spyware. This type of malware actually designed to be installed in your machine, and it and whatever access and all this and all a lot, and it will be shared to the attacker without the consent of the owner. So that's the capability of the spyware. Another form of malware is ransomware. So ransomware, I think all of you familiar with this term ransomware. So software, actually this type of software actually designed to deny user or organization to access to their files on their computer. So they don't have an access to their own files. Once this ransomware, it's the team, they could not able to access the files and data that are stored in their own machines. So how it does it? It will encrypt all the files, all the folders, everything, and you must have a key to decrypt it. Not only you can able to see the data. So for that they will ask for ransom. So ransomware is again another form of another type of a malware. So these are the different types of malware. It causes maybe loss to the digital world. How it will happen now? So how it is possible? So first thing is the OS vulnerability. So every time the OS updation is happening, the vendor releases a new OS, there is a vulnerability exists in the OS. So what the attacker will do is they will expose this vulnerability and they will create a backdoor. Through that backdoor, they will have an access to remote access to their systems. And if you are downloading the softwares, so antithetical softwares and all from the websites, again it will you are subject to a malware attack, and malware are spread through an email attachment also, and also through the pen drives. So this is the first type of attack that we have. Then next type of attack is phishing attack. I think all of you hear about this phishing attack. So it is a type of social engineering attack that is frequently used to collect the sensitive information from the victim. So the sensitive information means we can collect the credit card details on login credentials. So how the attacker initiate this phishing attack is they send a fake mail which appears to be coming from the legitimate source. So when victim checks this mail or download the file from the mail, so the malware will be installed in their machine, and through the malware they can get access to the machine. Or through they will redirect you to a phishing website, and through the website page they will collect your credentials. So there are two ways possible with this phishing attack. So every employee in an organization must aware of the phishing attack. So how the phishing may look like is here you can, I just give an example here this slide. So there is a mail received saying that this Bank of America, we detected a unusual activity on your Bank of America debit card on a particular date, and it says that it is inactive and we have to log in. So we have to log in into this particular URL and verify your account activity. That's a mail you're getting. So how we can verify whether it's a phishing mail or not? So you have to concentrate on the three aspects. One is you have to check from where the mail has come, right? And from where you received this mail. So you have to check for the error in the email ID. That's the first thing. So there are definitely some letters are changed in the email ID that you have to check. And look out for the common generalized address. So generally, if you look at this email, your personalized content is not there. So it's a generalized way. So dear member is the thing that is mentioned there. So there is no personalized content here. That's another aspect you have to look at here. Then another thing is, so in order to activate your account, they will provide a URL. So the URL look like a legitimate URL, but if you edge forward, that is, if you are moving the cursor over that URL, you can clearly see the redirected. So the redirected link will be different. So if you click this link, what will happen? It will be redirected to a phishing website. So through the website website, they can collect your information. So you have to create awareness among your employees. So whenever they receive a mail, you have to check three things. First thing is whether they are getting the mail from the legitimate users, check for the errors. And second, is it a generalized mail or it is customized? We have to check it. Then, if any URL is mentioned in the mail, you have to check the redirection address. So this is where they actually the attacker will follow you. So through this, we can create awareness among the people about phishing attack. Okay, what are the different phases in the phishing attack? So the attacker sends an email to the victim, and they make the victim to believe that a particular mail has come from the legitimate source. So the victim believes it, and it clicks the URL given in the mail. So it will be redirected to the phishing website. So in the phishing website, actually, there's a website created by the attacker. So it will look like the original website. So there you ask to enter the credentials. Once you enter your credential, username and password, so attacker will actually create a log record on their own server. And later they will use this log file and they will extract the username and password and they will log into your legitimate actions. So these are the phishing attack is carried out. So the different phases in the phishing. So on example I show, so here you can see you receive a mail from the Facebook associate team saying that your Facebook account has been compromised. So we have blocked your Facebook account. So you have to click here to unblock it. So that's a mail content we said. Now we can see there, it's just a generalized message here. So dear client, something like that. But if you fall for this phishing attack, you will click the link. When we click the link, you will be redirected to the phishing website. That is the website developed by the attacker. So the website, the page will look like similar original landing page of Facebook. So just they copy the Facebook landing page and they created this page. So once you enter, the victim enter the username and password and then click the login. So what happens is they have written a backend code which receives these credentials and store it in their own database. And after storing the database, what will happen? It will be the victim will be redirected to the original the Facebook login page. So again, the victim thinks that some internet connectivity is lost, so he has to retype the username and password. So once through the backend code, once the attacker captures this email and password, later they can use this credential and log into the original websites. So this is how the phishing attack is happening. That is phishing email attacks is happening in the digital. Okay. So how to prevent this thing? So check for errors and think before clicking. That's an important, like we already discussed about it. Then important aspect is install an anti-phishing toolbox. So when you redirect to some URL, the anti-phishing toolbar will alert you. So this is considered as a phishing website. So that's alert you will be getting it. So you can work with an anti-phishing toolbar to completely avoid this phishing attack. Another thing is often change the password. So you should have a policy that frequently you're changing the password. You might ask the question. So once they capture the password, then what is it? So how we can avoid this phishing attack, right? So even though they capture the password, if you have a policy that for every day you're going to change the password, what happens? So the attacker will take some time to use your credential and that. So before that, if you have changed this password, so whatever the password captured by the attacker will not be useful. So always it is good to have the policy of changing passwords frequently. So with this method, you can prevent the phishing attacks. The next type of attack, what I'm going to discuss is the password attack. Here, the objective of the cyber attacker is to obtain a password. It is in a plain format or it is in an encrypted format. They will decipher it and they want to get access to the credentials. That is the password. So currently there are a lot of password cracking programs are available to get a password. So some of the famous password cracking programs are listed here: HackerNG, John, and Kane, and with the help of this, you can easily crack the password of a person. So once the password is cracked, and entire account is exploited by the hackers. So it's considered to be a very dangerous attack. So how the attacker performs this password cracking? There are three methods followed by the attacker. The three ways the attacker can do the password attacks. One is brute force attack. The second type is a dictionary attack, and third type is a keylogger attack. So in the first method, the hacker runs the script program to log into the user account by trying out all possible words, the common words. So the key, what the password is the key spaces will be very large. So it will take a lot more time to crack the password because he has to search for all the words, common words, or commonly used words for the password attack. So this is one method. So normally it will take more time for the attacker to break the password. So other method is go for a dictionary method. Again, the hacker uses the script program to log into the user login. But this time, not using all the words, they will use the common words that are used in the dictionary. So now the key space is reduced. Compared to the brute force attack, the time taken to crack the password base will be very less because the key space is reduced. So if you go with the dictionary attack, you can easily break the password. Right? So the third way how they actually break the password as they perform the password attack is the keylogger activities. So even if you might have a strong password, that is combination of alphabets, special symbols, so all those things. But the keylogger, if the attacker able to install the keylogger softwares in your machine, then there is no way to hide your password. So in this method, the keylogger activity, it's like a malware install on the victim machine. So whatever the password or eventually your type, it will be recorded in the log and will be shared to the victim, right? So with the help of this log file, they can be able to break the password. But what is the solution? What is the counter for this keylogger activities? You just go for a multi-factor authentication. So not only depending on the credentials, you can have other things like OTP or other biometric methods, and other methods that you can add it to the credentials. So these are the different type of password attack performed by the attackers. Okay, now how to stop the password attack? That's a question. So as I said, keep changing the password at regular intervals. So you just set a policy that for every 1 day or 3 days, you're going to change the password. So that's one thing. Another thing is don't keep the same password for all the login system, different login systems. You might have different accounts, different backing accounts, and different email accounts. So don't keep the same password, username, and password. You put in the same password for all the login system. And always prefer alphanumeric and combination of a special symbol as password. And don't use your name and family name in it. So that's one thing. And uh, other important aspect is don't use a single word, right? That because it is commonly available in the dictionary. So never use the words in the dictionary. So through the dictionary attack, the attacker can easily crack the password. So always go for using the garbage words. Garbage means it's not meaningful. It's a combination of many things that you can keep. So the advisable thing is don't use a common word that appears in the dictionary. Just go with the garbage words. Another important aspect is don't leave the password in the notepad. So you might have set different passwords for different logins, but unfortunately you have a notepad in your machine where you give a password in. So if the attacker have an access to this file, then he can easily crack a password. So these are some of the guidelines to stop the password attack. Now move on to the next type of attack called DDoS attack. So DDoS is a subtype of DOS attack. So let's talk about the DOS attack first. So DOS is nothing but denial of service. Here the objective of the attacker is to flood the computer system network and server with a lot of traffic. So this will prevent the system to accept a legitimate request from the end users. Where the picture, we have a web server here. So I think all of you know web server is capable of answering the request concurrently. So assume that the web server is configured to answer 10,000 requests at a time. So the 10,000 threads is configured in the web server. So concurrently can answer 10,000 requests. Now as an attacker, I just wanted to take the server down. So what I will do is I will initiate traffic, so like 10,000 requests towards the web server, and I engage the web server thinking. Right? When a legitimate server, so when we sends a request to the web server, it's going to be a 10,001 request. Right? It's actually only a legitimate user you want to get a service. But since the web server is already occupied by the attacker, so the web server is not able to give the response to the legitimate user. So this kind of attack, we call it as what? Denial of service. So legitimate user not able to get service from the web server because it is already occupied by the attacker. So this kind of attack, we call it as a DOS attack. And what is a DDoS attack? So here, if the attacker that is, the attacker actually fled the traffic into the server through the botnet. So they will use the botnet to actually attack the victim. So the botnets will be what? It will be the distributed nets. So if a particular attacker decided to attack a particular victim, so what we'll do is we'll seek the help of a botnet. I think already I explained. Botnet is nothing but network of infected computers that are to prevent the source of an attack. So this is so called what? DDoS attack. Now, how we can prevent the DDoS attack? So first thing, we try to block the spoof to the source attack. So the IP spoofing is the main threats for the DDoS attack. So any source address spoofing, just block it. And second approach is create a filter in your firewall that checks, that examines each packet IP address, and also it compares the IP address that compares the IP address by going back to the client source address, whether the client source address and receive back address are the same or not. The client source address and receive back address are same, means that it will be considered as a legitimate traffic. If they are different, means you have to drop it. So we can use the filters at the entry, the network entry level to actually prevent this DDoS attack. Other aspect is we can do modification the DSP connection. Some critical information encrypted on it. So when I say cookie, what you understand, right? So the server create a cookie on the client machines. So when again the client machine reaches the server, it has to carry the cookie back to the server. So if it is a legitimate client, so it has the cookie value. So it is able to carry the cookie value to the intended server. So if it is not a legitimate client, they don't have an access to the cookie information. So it is not possible for the bot to carry the cookie value to the server. So if the entry is what don't have the, it is not having the particular cookie information that can be considered as the attack, it's attack traffic. And so we can just ignore it. So these are the three major ways we can do it. The other thing is the traffic analysis. So you might have a traffic analysis software machine. So it always observes the unusual traffic input. So if there is spike in the traffic there, we can do the analysis we can make. Another aspect is, okay, the DDoS attack is happened, and what is the next step? So how you recover from it? You should have a proper incident plan to recover from it. So these are the ways you can avoid the DDoS attack. And other aspect is you can have a series of captchas in your service access. So I think all of you day-to-day life you come across using the captchas. So captchas are one way of avoiding the DDoS attack. So you will have a series of captchas before accessing the service bits. It's not possible, right? But still, bots can have a different way to create a captchas. But if you have a series of captchas, bot will not be successful. So these are the different methods with which we can prevent the DDoS attack. There is one instance happened in the year 2018. I think JDAP, I think all of you know, it is a cloud platform. It's a software development platform and a virtual platform. It had undergone a DDoS attack in the year 2018, in the month of February. And the platform was hit by the massive DDoS traffic. That is, huge traffic is flooded to the GTAP. It's the rate of 1.35 terabits per second all at once with the GTAP. But it has happened. DDoS attack has happened, but the GTAP has a proper recovery plan. So they have a proper recovery plan. When this incident is happened, and what to be done for the recovery, they have a proper recovery plan. So because of that, they're able to restore the system within the 20 minutes. So that's what I insisted. So even if a DDoS is alarm, you should have a proper recovery management. So proper incident management should be devised so that even your system is subject to a DDoS attack, you're able to restore the system in a short period. So the next type of attack is man-in-middle attack. Here the cyber attacker intercept the communication between a legitimate sender and legitimate the receiver. Here the display center uses some seeking some information from the web application. So the attacker intercepts the communication. It will act as a legitimate receiver for a user and legitimate sender for a web application. So we completely have a control over the communication line, and whatever the data sent by the user, he will have an access, and also whatever the response that you get from the application, he will have access. So either you can filter the data, or also you can inject the data also. So that's the capability the attacker will have if we are able to perform a man-in-middle attack. So what allows this to happen? So when it is possible, right? And when the man-in-middle attack is possible, if the sender and receiver uses the non-encrypted wireless access protocols or weakly encrypted wireless access protocols and all that, the cyber attacker can have easy access to the communication. So advisable thing is to prevent the man-in-middle attack, you should always use an encrypted wireless access protocol, and also you should run your the client server communications normally in a HTTPS, that where the SSL and checking protocol happens, where you use a cyber suit where we use a cipher suit mutually authenticating the client and the server. So always go for using the XPPS or using the XSSDs so that your connection runs over the secure channel. Otherwise, if you are performing techniques, you can use a VPN, which will prevent network. And the most advisable thing is avoid using the insecure public IP. So public IP is freely available for packets are freely available for it. But if you use that, there will be the concept of having a non-encrypted wireless access is possible. So when it is non-encrypted communication, there is an easy pathway for an attacker to have access to the communication. They can able easily intercept the communication. So always go for using the public Wi-Fi. And if you're using you want to establish communication between a client and the server, just go with the secure channel access. So the next type of attack is zero-day attack. So zero-day attack, here the cyber attacker exploits the vulnerability in the product before the owner of the product finds it. Right. So assume that a vendor releases a product. Before vendor finds the vulnerabilities, the attacker is not able to explore the vulnerabilities. So this type of attack we call it as a zero-day attack. So normally when a product is released by a vendor, so there is a concept called zero-day vulnerability timeline. So within this timeline, so the attacker can exploit the vulnerability in the product. So what is the zero-day vulnerability timeline? So initially after the product release, they are the vendors will do a research on that, right? So what are the vulnerabilities of the product they will quit? Then they will publicly disclose the vulnerabilities, and vendors prepare a patch for fixing the vulnerabilities and finally reduce the price. So within this timeline, right, cyber attacker can perform a zero-day attack, right? And also if vendor is listing or these are the vulnerabilities available in the product, they can also exploit the vulnerability. Right? There are two ways. Before the vendors find before the developer finds the vulnerability, the attacker can exploit the vulnerability. They can use that exploit the vulnerability and get access to the product. And the other option is even if the vendor finds out the vulnerability and listing out, and from the list also they can. So the zero-day attack, what? It's all about exploiting the vulnerability in the product before the owner of the product finds it. So that concept we call it as a zero-day attack. And what are the targets for the zero-day attack? So what are the things on which we perform a zero-day attack? So first place income, operating system, first place income. So every time Windows releases a new versions of the Windows 10 goes down, there is a big possibility that attackers will find the vulnerability by each version of the Windows or those machines. Right. The other thing is web browsers. So in web browsers, we have a script engines. If the script engine has a bug, through the bug we can have access to the system. And we have Office application, open source components, hardware and firmware, and IoT devices. So these are some of the places, the targets for the zero-day attack. So easily these things are not subject to the zero. Just given some examples for a zero-day attacks. So in the year 2021, when the Chrome versions were introduced, zero-day attack is performed. So there is a script engine as part of the Chrome. You know that to run any client-side program, so you need a script engine because the client-side programs are written in JavaScript. So the version 8 JavaScript engine, what is there in Chrome has some bugs. So through the bugs, they can have access to the machine where the browser is running. So it was happened, and later they have fixed it. In the year 2020, Zoom also undergone a zero-day attack. So what is the attack is if the Zoom is installed on the Windows 10, that's the older version of the Windows 10, there is a vulnerability in the Windows 10, so through which attacker can have admin access over the computer system. So they can access anything. So that was happened, and later it was fixed. Again, the year 2020, the zero-day attack is from the Apple iOS. So iPhone is comprised for the remote access. So with the help of the zero-day attack, before the owner discovers the vulnerability, the attacker is able to find the vulnerability, and through the vulnerability, they have a remote access to the machines. That's what happened, and later this was all fixed. So how to prevent the zero-day attack? So best option is quickly give the patch management. So the as a right there, if I producing any product, I should do the research quickly on your product. So what are the vulnerabilities in it? I should find out quickly. And if I found the vulnerabilities, I should fix the bugs. I have to release the patches. So by implementing the proper patch management policy, we can prevent the zero-day attack. And in the computers, only the essential applications. Don't use all the applications. So there is a mobile and a desktop machine. Only and how you recover from this. So with the help of these guidelines, you can able to prevent the zero-day attack. An important aspect is, so every patch released by the vendor, you should update the thing. Whether it is a software patch or it is a OS patch, anything, you should update your system. So always you have to keep the system up to date. So if you keep the system up to date, you can prevent the zero-day attack. The next type of attack is drive-by download. So this type of attack happens when vulnerable computers get affected by just visiting a website. So here, when a victim visits a website, so automatically the malware is downloaded to their machines. And through the malware, they can have a remote access, and also they can do access to the data. So these are the possible thing. So when such kind of malware getting installed in your machine, so whenever you're visiting a website that's of adult content, so doing the adult content, or there is something freely available for file sharing websites, or there is something called free antivirus software. So we'll go with this thing, websites, which are considered to be more dangerous and malicious, and automatically what the malicious software will be downloaded. So better advice is don't visit these dangerous and malicious websites. So, but also you have to keep your system up to date. So by doing this, we can prevent the drive-by download attack. So next type of attack is malvertising. As from the name, we can infer that. So the advertisement is embedded with the malware, right? So criminally control adverse advertisement, which intentionally affect the people, also disturb the digital business. So that's what the objective of malvertising. So as it is depicted in the diagram, attacker will create and inject a malware into advertisement, and they approach advertising network, and through the actions, they will find out the popular websites on which there is more number of hits. So with the help of the advertisement network, they reach to the websites where they will show up with the advertisement. So malvertising, it's happened on the website. So when more number of users visit this popular website, automatically, then the advertisement will pop up. Then it will when they see the advertisement, automatically the user will be taken to a malware. They will be taken to a malware server, and the malware server will download the malware software into a machine. So once the malware is injected into a target machine, then they will have a complete control over the machine. So this is how the malvertising is happening. So the best way to prevent the malvertising is install an advertisement blocker in the Google Chrome or Safari. So there is something called advertisement blocker. So if there is, it will find out whether there is any malicious code injected in the advertisement or not. So with the help of this, the advertisement blocker, you can prevent the advertising. And don't go for clicking any advertisement that says it is offering free money and free service. So nothing offered as free here in the digital world. So don't go with it. So these are the ways you can prevent the advertising. And next is rogue software. This rogue software is actually mimics the original antivirus software, anti-malware softwares, but it's very dangerous. So it is very dangerous malware scam. So rogue software actually mimics the antivirus program, but it will act as a malware, right? So once you download this rogue software, it will say that there are a lot of threats in your system. You have to clean it. So when you go about cleaning scanning the system for virus and anything, it will say that you have to pay for a service, right? So you are asked to demands a payment. So once you give the credit card details, everything, your credentials, your credit card details are all about. captured by the attackers. So this is one thing. Other thing is constantly if your system is affected with wrong software, you are flooded with a lot of messages saying that you're getting alert, your system is in threat. So you can keep on the messages floating. And also, the ROG software has the capability to modify the actual security software. So actually, you're running with the antivirus software, original antivirus software is installed in your machine. But if your machine is subject to ROG software, it can correct your antivirus software also. And finally, if you're not addressing means you can enter a complete release page. You will not be able to submit any report to it. So these are these characteristics of our software. So how we can prevent it? We can prevent updated, by having updated firewall and proper antivirus. Generally, don't trust anything, right? So don't trust anything. So you always should have a distrust on any software that you download. So before downloading it, you have to verify. So that's the capability of the software. Then the next type of attack is SQL injection attack. So this type of attack occurs in database-driven websites. So what do you mean by database-driven websites? So through the web pages, you can access all the data available in the database through the front end. Through the API calls, you can access data. You can perform a third operation somewhat. So that's kind of thing on that. The attacker injects the malicious code into the SQL server, through which they can have an access to all the databases and tables. Not only accessing the database and tables, they could edit the table and drop the tables, all kind of operations they can perform. So here is an example. We can see here, with the backend, we have some tables and all. The attacker is initiating a API call. This API call is converted to a query in the backend. So while initiating API call, he is passing a request parameter, saying that student ID is 117. Then he is injecting a code. So what is that code is? Or 1 equal to 1. Right? So when I say 1 equal to 1, and when it is mapped to the SQL query, it will be mapped like a select star from student, where student equal to 117 or 1. So or operate logical or operator, you know that. So any condition, any one condition is true means it will retrieve the data. So this injected code, what will happen? This injected code makes this condition true, so then all the student details will be updated, right? So the backend will return all the student details to the attacker. Okay. So this is called what? Injection of a malicious code, right? So when we're making the condition or 1, so what we're making is the backend is to return all the student details to the attacker. Now the attacker will have the data of all the students. So this is called what? SQL injection. Again, like how we are retrieving the student details, we can also retrieve the username and password. Right? So from the front end, I'm just initiating the API call. So the API call is converted to the SQL query like this. So again, I put the or 1 where the user ID and just give. So once you give it, what will happen? We can get all the usernames and password. And these username and password will be transferred to the attackers. So now the attacker has access to all the username and password. So because of this vulnerability, there is injection of the SQL code, the particular SQL service vulnerable. So how we can prevent the SQL injection? And first thing what we have to do is, before generating a query for a API calls, you have to validate the data. So here the data, what I'm saying is the request data, what we have is student ID and also or 1 equal to 1. So if you are doing a validation, right, for generating a query, you should remove this invalid data. So for the SQL query, this is typically invalidated. Right? So before executing a query for an API call, so the backend, you should verify the request parameter data. So what will be the valid request parameter data should be considered for executing the query. So if we do so, so this thing can be avoided. So that's what mentioned here. So carry out validation of the users right? The person in interest we call the insider threat. Look how we can handle the threat. So the person due to some issue, due to the issue with the management, they might want to reveal the confidential information to the outsiders also. So how we can avoid that insider threat means first, while screening itself, that is while recruiting the employees itself, apart from checking the technical and professional skills, you should consider the behavioral skills also. So in the hiring process itself, we should go for checking the behavioral skills. And second, you should have a proper access control management. So particular user will be allowed to access from the particular data. So you should set up proper access control management. And third, you should conduct series of security awareness program where you can teach the employee how to avoid becoming a security risk. So that's a thing. But fourth point, so always you keep a baseline that observes how the behavior of employee in the organization. Once they have deviated from the baseline, the behavior is deviated from the baseline, you should identify that as a threat, inside threat. And also, you have to identify and minimize the opportunities for criminal behavior in the place. You should mitigate the opportunity for the malicious insiders. But by following these steps, you can avoid the insider because there is no software that can find an insider threat. So this is all about the behavioral pattern of the employee. There is no antivirus, anti-malware software available to find the insider threat. So through the observing the behavioral pattern of an employee only, you can identify whether it's deviating from the baseline or not. The next type of attack is called what? Cryptojacking. So cryptojacking, actually, this is related to the cryptocurrency. I think all of you are aware of the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency movement has really affected the cybersecurity. So in cryptocurrency, I think all of you heard about a terminology called mining. So mining is the task that that particular participant has to perform to commit a block, in a blockchain, right? Create a block in a blockchain. So the mining involves huge computation. So whoever acting as a miner in a blockchain or any environment, cryptocurrency, they get a reward. So that's the thing. Now the cryptojacking, what it does is, so with the help of a malware, the attacker will install the malware in particular machine. Right? So what the malware does is it hijacks the particular machine's computing power, and that particular computing power is used for the mining operation. So the particular victim does not have that his machine is used for the mining operations. So the attacker make use of the victim's machine to perform a mining operation, and they will get a reward for performing the mining. So that's the concept is called cryptojacking. It's about hijacking the computing power of a machine and using that computing power of a machine to perform a mining operation and get a reward. So this concept is called cryptojacking. So it is a thing. The attacker will install a malware which in turn tries to guide a cryptocurrency through the mining. Okay. So how we can prevent this? There is extensions available. There is anti-crypto mining extensions available. You can install it. You can educate the employee about cryptojacking. Don't click any suspicious mails. Once you click that suspicious mail, what will happen? The malware will be installed and your computing power will be hijacked for performing the mining operation. And avoid use the advertisement blockers also so that all the malwares cannot be installed in your machines. So this way you can prevent the cryptojacking attack. And next type of attack is called watering hole attack. Actually, this term is derived from the animal intelligence. From that only this term is derived. So I think you know about predators. Predators will kill other prey for their food. So from the intelligence of predators only, this attack is derived. That's the main watering hole attack. So normally, if you look at animal predators, they will not go to the places of the prey. So they will stop going to the places of the prey. What they do is they will wait near to the watering hole. So the group of the animals is the targets of prey. When it approaches the water hole, Once they will actually look for a type for an attack, right? So when their lines of defense is weak, then the predator will attack the prey. So this is a anti-intelligence of a predator. The same intelligence is mimicked in by this watering hole attackers. So what they do is they will observe who the group of peoples commonly visiting a particular website. So here the website is considered as a watering hole. So whoever they will find out what are the websites not frequently visited by more number of people. So if they are possible, they will compromise the website. So they will inject a malware, an advertisement, anything into a website. So when group of users visits the web page as a daily basis, the malicious code will be downloaded. And once the malicious code is downloaded into the system, the attacker will initiate the malicious activity. And through the malware, they have a control over the system. Either they can access the data, they can control anything on the system. So this concept is called what? Watering hole attack. Again, how to prevent the watering attack? You have to regularly update your softwares, and you should use the networking security tools. That's very important to avoid this watering attack. And try to use the virtual private network. And don't trust all the traffic. Early traffic, you should consider as untrusted and examine and allow it. So these are the methods that which you can avoid the watering hole attack. So far, what I have covered some of the cyber attacks that are commonly occurring in the digital life. So as I said, I've not covered all the attacks, only partially I covered the attacks. But this partial list of attacks are most frequently occurring in the digital. So now the question is why the people are act as a cyber attacker? What is the motive behind the cyber attacker? So by becoming a cyber attacker, they can make a financial loss to the target. You know that they can take the money, right? And they can encrypt all the resources, mask for ransom money, and they want to hacking the notorious machines. These are all what achieve the state military objectives and propagating the religious and political. So if I want to extend my beliefs to others, all others means whatever I can hack the system, then I put my beliefs to the particular victim. Right? So that for all these reasons only the people become a cyber attacker. So these are the motives behind a cyber attack. Okay, now just want to talk about the top cyber attacks, the digital world. I guess going to cover the partial list of it. There are a lot of attacks, but you can see there is a European country called Estonia, which had undergone a public DDoS attack during the year 2000, right, 2007, right? So what is the attackers? They through the botnets, they have generated a huge traffic that will affect online services and media outlets. So they have conducted a series of botnet attack. So it was suspected that the Russian is behind this attack. So this is biggest attack happened. The European countries worked nearly 14 days. The countries worked services on them. So this is because of the DDoS attack. Another thing is that type of attacks happened in the year 2015. The power stations are attacked through phishing. So there are three power stations attacked through the phishing attack. The three power stations controls majority of the supply. They are the majority suppliers for the power supply for the country. Okay. So the three substations, through the phishing mail, they have installed the malware, and through the malware, they have a control over the system, and through the control, they actually got out the power for 6 hours. So but 30% of the country power was controlled for the 6 hours. So this was happened in the year 2015. And NASA itself undergone a backdoor attack that has happened in the year 1999. So it's called 28 days second attack. So I alluded to what is the backdoor attack. So the attacker exposed the vulnerability in the OS, and through the OS vulnerability, they able to inject a malware into the system. So this malware completely shut down the computers in the NASA. So it was happened. This is a famous thing. 21 days shut down. And the next step of this password attack. So the attacker is successful in compromising the password of a Sony email account, right? So the Sony email account, it's a US-based company. There's a company email account is compromised, and they're able to access all the data, all the media details, everything they're able to access. So it was happened in the year 2020. So it was suspected that South Korea is behind this. Right. The next step of attacks is a special attack that's called Stuxnet, that's malware. Uh, this is the first malware that actually destroyed the hardware infrastructure of the country. So actually, the target was the Iranian nuclear power plant. So Iranian nuclear power plant program, they have used thousands of computers for carrying out the program. And the US wants to destroy this program. So what they have done is they have created a malware called Stuxnet, which has the capability to destroy the hardware system. So entire hardware system is entire hardware system become unuseful, right? So it completely destroys the hardware system. So that's the first kind of attack where they aim to destroy the hardware part of the machine. The next one is WannaCry. I think all of you know that first started in the year 2017. So this is because the Windows 10 vulnerability. So the attacker able to find the vulnerability in the Windows 10 OS. So through that vulnerability, through the back door, they actually reached the machines, and they completely encrypted the files and folders from the boot level. So entire data is what encrypted, and if any victims they wanted to have the data, they have asked for the ransom money. They have to pay the ransom money, $300 to $600 they asked for. So this was happened worldwide. I think all of you know about it. So these are some of the popular cyber attacks that was happened in the digital world. I just covered few things, and most of the cyber attacks what I've discussed is covered in this top cyber attacks. I think I reached the end of the session.